This is part 2 of your hot takes that you submitted to me. I'm going to go through, react to all of them, answer any questions, and without further ado, let's get into it. First one is from C1DO. It says Ciryl Gane easily beats Tom Aspinall. I'm going to disagree with this one. I think Ciryl Gane's actually going to put up a better fight than people think. He's a better striker than Aspinall's ever fought. He's going to be faster. That's about it. His grappling is going to be worse than like Volkov's and Blade's. But he does pose some interesting threats. And you got to remember, Ciryl Gane arguably beat Ngannou and went to a close decision with him. So he definitely outstruck Ngannou. You can say whatever you want about Ngannou's knee, but he still had a very good performance against him. Almost submitted him a couple of times, tagged him up on the feet, didn't get hurt. So it is possible that Ciryl Gane wins for sure. But do I think he wins? Probably not. I feel like he can't even catch Tom Aspinall with a punch and knock him clean out because Ciryl Gane has pillow punches. Literally, like every KO you've ever seen from him is like a 50 punch combo, 7 hits to the back of the head, a couple body shots, and usually the ref gets in the middle and waves it off. But he does not easily beat Tom Aspinall. I'm actually interested why you think he does, what you see that no one else sees. I'd love to hear, but until I hear a more convincing reason, I'm going to be riding with Tom Aspinall. I'd favor him 65 to 35%. But yeah, Ciryl Gane does have a better chance than people say, for sure. Next is from Fode. Adesanya is not washed. He just needs to fix his boxing defense. I totally agree with this. If you look at his last fight against Imavov, he was destroying him in the first round, only got hit with one good shot, which was in the boxing range. And then the combo that finished him was that boxing combo, right straight, that Adesanya just had his hands down for, he wasn't ready for. Imavov got in close, closed the distance, boxing range, knocked him out. That was all she wrote. He fought Strickland. Strickland, known for his boxing, his Philly shell. Adesanya struggled. And then you look at the DDP fight. Adesanya was doing amazing on the feet, amazing on the ground, until Dricus caught him, took him down. Had a beautiful setup. It wasn't beautiful, but he set up a good RNC. So I do think his boxing is his biggest weakness, and he still looks good. He can definitely still beat some people in the top ranks. You even saw against Imavov, he defended all the grappling, even took down Imavov at a point, tripped him. He did better offensively wrestling against Imavov than Berhalo did, so take that as you will. But 100% agree, Adesanya is not washed. He's not in prime form, of course, but to say he's washed is ridiculous. It's definitely a boxing problem primarily. You could say his grappling's a weakness too, which would be true. But yeah, I'd say it's mainly his boxing. If he can fix that up, maybe get a rematch with Sean Strickland, MVP fight, but I don't think that'd happen. They're kind of boys. So yeah, I agree with this one. Next is from Jacob. He says, I think Pantoja beats Merab in a bantamweight fight for double champ. I disagree with this one. Pantoja is older than Merab, smaller than Merab, about the same speed if not slower than Merab, worse cardio than Merab, worse wrestler than Merab, probably even level striking than Merab, and he does have better BJJ than Merab, I'll give him that. But Merab's BJJ even looks good in his last fight against O'Malley. Point being, Merab's literally like a bigger, better version of Pantoja. Pantoja on steroids. Like maybe Pantoja could submit him, but no, I don't even think that'd be in the realm of possibilities. And as far as catching Merab, again, Merab's going against some of the best strikers in the UFC. If they're not able to knock him out, I don't think Pantoja will be able to, but you never know. I'm just saying, statistically, just looking at the numbers, the X's and O's, it's likely not going to happen. Merab would probably win this by decision, outpacing him. It looked like the Piotr Jan fight. He'd just smother him, take him down, overwhelm him, keep his foot on the gas until he's gassed out. It'd honestly be relatively easy, I think. If he's beating Cejudo pretty soundly, O'Malley, Jan, Umar. Like, Umar's better than Pantoja. So, no, I don't agree with this one, but I do think Pantoja should be in like the top 3 or 4 pound for pound. Definitely. Next is from Kai. It says, DJ isn't top 3 because as good as his legacy/reign was, his resume wasn't as impressive as other fighters like Volk, for example. And during the time of his reign, the flyweight division was dead with little comp and was nearly erased from the promotion. This is a tough one. Going back and forth on this one. It's definitely true that the competition wasn't as good, like some of the worst competition we've seen. But flyweights have always been known for being the most technical fighters, and the reason DJ didn't have a stacked resume is because he was the first champion. He didn't have champions to beat, per se. Didn't have the luxury of being like a John Jones beating all these champions when he was up and coming, or any other fighter for that matter. That wasn't the first champion of the division. Right away, his resume is not going to look as stacked as others, but that first round finish against Cejudo, the Adriano Moraes victories, when he was older too, they're impressive. Like who else could he have fought to prove that he's good? He wasn't around for Pantoja, wasn't around for Figgy, wasn't around for Moreno. He fought Benavidez, who was one of the best at the time. Cejudo, who was the best at the time. He beat Cejudo in that rematch too. I don't care what anyone says. He beat the best competition there was. And like I said, there's no luxury of him being able to beat former champions because he was the first. Until that robbery, there was no more. Then he goes to one, balls out over there, gets caught, comes back, wins by knockout, and wins by a decision against Moraes. So I honestly do have DJ in my top 3 because his technicality and the way he was beating these guys was insane. What else could he have done to make him there's nothing. It was completely out of his power. You think what do you want him to bring freaking Pantoja from the future back in time so he can fight him, get some good names on his resume? Like, he did everything in his power to have a good resume and put good performances on. Not always the most entertaining, which is why the flyweight was almost deleted, but I think it's totally reasonable to have him in your top 3. Just the technicality, the fight IQ. Even how he did against Dominic Cruz. He was competitive against Cruz, up a weight class, little tadpole. And we know Cruz is the bantamweight GOAT, arguably. I think it's Merab actually, but some would argue Cruz. I could see where you're coming from, but I can't say I fully agree with this one. Next is from Jordan, who says, Shamil Gaziev shouldn't even be in the UFC. Bro almost died during his fight against Rosenstrike from lack of cardio. You could make that same argument for almost every UFC heavyweight, because they have no cardio, no speed, no technique per se. Just not ever going to end up being top contenders. But since the division is so thin, you got to keep guys like this around. It just shows how bad the heavyweight division is. I think they should let them juice, and the weight class should be open. No weight limit. It is weird how Gaziev's still there, but then Rosenstrike got cut, and so did... Who was that other UFC heavyweight that was like 7-1 in the UFC and got cut? I can't think of him right now, but there's another UFC heavyweight that got cut that only lost like one fight. And then you have someone like Shamil. Some people even worse than Shamil Gaziev, like the Tafa brothers. I don't think he should be cut though. Community loves him. He's making a name for himself. Quite a draw, so UFC needs to keep him around if they want to make the heavyweight division great again. Next is from some foreign script. Can't read that. Do you see in the close future something coming that will change the UFC meta right now so that wrestling isn't at the top? Yeah, it's definitely going back in wrestling's favor right now, as you said. Do I see in the close future that something will come to change the meta? I think the only thing that can change it is people like Jack Della Maddalena. They have to go outside the box and work with people that aren't conventional MMA trainers like Craig Jones. They have to really crack down on the Dagestani style of wrestling. It seemed to be effective against Bilal. Even Volk against Islam, it worked pretty well. The anti-grappling of Craig Jones. So I think if these strikers start working with these really good grapplers, even Pereira and Glover. Pereira defended every takedown against Ankalaev and actually took him down once, the trip. So if these strikers work with good jiu-jitsu guys, I think that could be a direct counter to wrestling, at least the Dagestani wrestling. It's insane how fast some of these fighters can evolve. Like, they can beat lifelong wrestlers with just a couple of years of MMA grappling. So yeah, I think a lot more fighters will start working with those advanced jiu-jitsu guys. Craig Jones, Gordon Ryan's, and we'll see the tides turn again, where it's going to be strikers with insane takedown defense, like the Jack Della Maddalenas. Next is from Chase. He says, will O'Malley ever make a championship comeback? I don't think so. Unless he has a lucky streak of knockouts or robberies. He's not going to beat Merab. He can't even get a title fight against Merab again. But Merab's old, so let's say once Merab goes, it's going to be Umar up. He's not going to beat Umar, and Umar is younger, if not the same age as O'Malley, roughly. I don't know the exact ages, but I do know Umar's relatively young. So once Merab leaves, or even once they rematch, Umar's going to dominate the division until he's retired. And O'Malley's never going to have a comeback unless he goes up to featherweight. He could win a belt there. Like, I could see him beating Volk. Call it crazy, but it would look similar to the Holloway fights, except Volk isn't as good as he was when he's beating Holloway. So maybe if he goes up to featherweight, he could be a champion again, but bantamweight has way too many grapplers, or at least just a couple standout grapplers that won't let him ever touch the belt again. Next is from Ngoni. It says, people hate John Jones too much. I totally agree. There's reasons to hate him. He's done some terrible things, but the stalling of the division was pretty ridiculous. But at the same time, people are to the point where they're saying Magomed Ankalaev would have destroyed prime John Jones, which is ridiculous to say. I think people are starting to really underrate him, his legacy, just because of the Tom Aspinall thing. John Jones is honestly one of my favorite fighters. Who doesn't get excited when John Jones is going out to fight? A generational talent, regardless of what he's done outside the cage. Are you able to separate the art from the artist? If so, then yeah, John gets too much hate. People should at least respect his cage fighting, but yeah, he has done some screwed up things, and if people do hate on him, you can't necessarily blame them. It's just really what you make of him. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this. It's pretty subjective, but like I said, there's definitely justified reasons to hate him, while also being very justified reasons to show respect. So it's really just what side of the aisle you choose to stand on. Next is from Baby Zay. It says Ilia Topuria or Paddy Pimblett. I said this in the last video. No one's beating Ilia Topuria at lightweight unless they get a fluke knockout, fluke submission somehow. But no, he's going to chin Paddy Pimblett. Paddy's getting caught by Michael Chandler, who has a 20th of the striking that Ilia does, a 20th of the power, a 20th of the speed, way older. So yeah, if you're getting caught by Chandler, chin in the air. Bro, even that random scrub he fought in his debut was catching him. That's not going to work against Topuria, and he's not going to be able to take Topuria down. In fact, Topuria's wrestling may be better than Paddy's. Paddy might have better jiu-jitsu. Paddy's jiu-jitsu is very good. But overall, I think Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett are evenly matched on the ground, all things considered. And on the feet, it's a no-brainer. Paddy will get slept. Yeah, I got to go with Ilia Topuria. Next, we got G-Dug, who says Khabib is an awful person. Again, this is pretty nuanced. Like, you can do some deep research like McGregor did, find some shady things, the tax evasion, even going to his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, and his involvement with September 11th. It's a pretty interesting rabbit hole, but I don't think Khabib's an awful person. Obviously, I don't agree with everything he does, but awful person, I don't think I'd call him an awful person. He's done nothing much worse than any other UFC fighter, like McGregor throwing dollies, John Jones, his wild night in Vegas. A lot of UFC fighters have been locked up for assault charges. Khabib never really cheated. I could definitely see how you say he's a shady person, though. But overall, I wouldn't say he's awful. He's done a lot of stuff for his community. He's very family-focused. Great mindset. Helped a lot of people for pretty much nothing. So I wouldn't say he's an awful person. Those were your UFC hot takes you sent in. That should be all of them. If I missed any, you'll have to let me know. Thank you guys again for sliding up with those. If you want to do this in the future, follow me on Instagram. Make sure you like and sub, and I'll see you soon.